Today is March the 23rd, 2023. My name is Tanya Finchum. I'm with Oklahoma State University with the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. And we are in the Angie DeBow room on the OSU campus in the OSU library. And with me today is Kristye O'Mealey. And I've got your title as STEM Program Specialist for Career Tech since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and a former sixth grade science STEM teacher in Perry, Oklahoma. So we'll learn a little bit about that in a little bit. Before we get to your work in the STEM area, let's learn a little bit about you. Start wherever you like.
Okay. Well, I am a Stillwater girl, born and raised here in Stillwater.
Okay.
On my dad's side, his grandma came to Stillwater during the land run. She was 2 years old. So my dad's side of the family has been in Stillwater since the land run. So I'm like born and bred Stillwater, several generations. I'm a fifth generation OSU grad.
Okay.
Yeah, so started when it was OSU A&M or Oklahoma A&M and then into OSU. So
Stillwater High.
yes, Stillwater High, my papa, my dad, my sister and I all graduated from Stillwater High School and all from at OSU. So
Was it expected that you'll go to OSU, or
no,
could
it
you
really
choose?
wasn't. I could have chosen, and I applied to other schools, and I love my family, and I'm very close. And like my mom's side, so they were all in Perry, which is where I ended up teaching. And so we're all really close, and we do stuff together all the time. And I really wanted to go somewhere else for school, and I was like, I just don't want to leave my family. I love hanging out with them. We do stuff together all the time. So I ended up staying and doing my school here, and I don't regret it at all. And I know some people are like, they don't ever leave the town they grew up in. I'm one of those people. There's no reason to leave Stillwater at this point.
Okay. Yeah. So what year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 2005.
2005.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you would have been, in 2001, you would have been like a freshman in high school then. So when the plane crash happened, that's what I mean.
Yes.
That's a while back. Okay, so you've got a sister, you said earlier.
Yes.
Any other siblings?
No, just my sister and I, the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm married, and our anniversary's next week, but we have two little boys, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they are a riot. They're so much fun. They couldn't be more different, but they're just wonderful. They're so much fun to play with and listen to as they talk and explore and explain and the funny things that they say.
And did you do a play on spelling for their names?
No, so my oldest is Ezra, E-Z-R-A, the typical Ezra. And his middle name is Reed, which is on my mom's side. My great-grandparents, their last name was Reed, R-E-E-D. So we did Ezra Reed. And then my youngest, his name is Kellen Thomas, and so Kellan, just Kellen. My husband's Irish, and so we kind of took an Irish name for that one. Okay. And then Thomas, his brother's middle name was Thomas, but also my great-granddad on my Nana's side, his middle name was Thomas, and so was her brother. So we used Thomas because it was for both sides.
Family
we had some family names in the middle for our boys, yeah.
Okay. So which elementary school in town did you go to?
I went to Skyline Elementary. My mom taught there, and so I went there because she was a teacher. And she was actually my first grade teacher.
That was my next question.
Yes.
How did that go?
Actually, it was fine. I know she always said that the principal was a little concerned, if your daughter's in your class, but it was totally, Mrs. Raines during the day and mom whenever we weren't at school. So it was she told me when we're in there, it's no favoritism. We're going to teach you just like everybody else. I was like, okay. And it worked out great, and I loved it. It was so fun to just have my mom as my teacher.
It would be helpful, I think, in that making that transition from home to school with a familiar face in the room. Maybe not later, but first grade.
First grade, it was great. I loved having my mom as my teacher.
Okay, so in high school, did you have a favorite subject?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of. I've always liked science, but I also really love writing and English. I did a lot of poetry and writing short stories just for myself. Wasn't anything I ever did or published or anything like that, but I did really enjoy that. And I was also an athletic trainer, and so for football, baseball, and basketball, my junior and senior year was an athletic trainer, and that kind of led into, after high school graduation, I went into the massage therapy program at Meridian Technology Center and did that program for a year. And I didn't start OSU right after I graduated high school. That came later. And so I really thought, like, I loved the treatment work and the therapeutic stuff. And whenever I was doing athletic training, like working with the athletes and trying to help get them some relief, I was like, I kind of like this. So I had applied to the program and did that, the 12-month program, got out. I went to work at what used to be Victoria's Salon and did a lot of spa work and treatment. And I liked it. It was fine, but I really wanted to get more into clinical type of massage therapy. So I started working in a chiropractor's office.
Okay.
And so I did a lot of treatment work. It was very specific. And that's really what I enjoyed, was the treatment and helping people get relief for car accidents or falls or whatever the issue may be. And so that was more what I wanted versus, kind of the spa relaxation stuff, which is nice. That's great. And so an interesting thing about that, though, because I was in the spa setting, I did lots of like salt scrubs and, those kind of treatments. And I actually wore off the fingerprints on my hands. So, I mean, they're pretty dull. So fast forward to when I had to get my teaching certificate and they do your fingerprint for background check. It kept getting denied, and I had to go down to OSBI and do the electronic, and it still wouldn't pick them up. And then the ink ones, they still couldn't get very good readings. So I went through like probably 7 fingerprint tests to try to get a good scan of my fingerprints. So there's all kinds of
Have to do your toe.
Yeah, they're like, what is this? That's a weird shape. So. But I think the last time I did it, whenever I renewed my teaching certificate, I had to redo them, and I only had to scan twice. So maybe the technology's better and picked it up more, or maybe they're coming back a little bit, but it was not easy.
So if you were into the training and the massage and all that, you didn't go into it in college?
No, and I hadn't thought about it, but my mindset at the time, okay, so another interesting thing about me, I don't know if it's really interesting, I'm obsessed with Hawaii, like all things Hawaii, the beach, sunshine. Like if I could pick up and move to Hawaii, I would absolutely do it. And so I was like, I really want to work in a spa setting in Hawaii. Like, so this is before I got into the chiropractor side of it. And I was like, so when I started OSU several years later, I thought I would go and start and get my business degree so that I could run my spa that I wanted to have. And I was like, well, maybe I could do a spa like in a hotel. So I did hotel, restaurant, and then business stuff to kind of go with that. And then I was like, this is not for me. This is not what I thought I was signing up for. I went through a couple of the classes and it's like, yeah, no, I don't know. One of my business or marketing classes, or I don't remember which one it was, but I was sitting at my parents' house and I was working on the computer and I was just like, I was just so frustrated. My mom comes in, she's like, I think you might want to rethink what you're doing. I was like, I think you're right. And so in my family, on my mom's side, her siblings, their spouses are all teachers. And so education and teaching has always been conversation and thing that I grew up around. I was like, I'm not going to be a teacher. It's like, everybody's a teacher. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be different. And ended up being a teacher later on. So I don't remember where I was going with all that, but
not physical therapy or
right.
Training.
Yeah, so athletes. I didn't go to OSU for athletic training, although we did do a summer camp for athletic training in high school, and I really liked it. But since I got into the massage therapy program right out of high school, I went ahead and did the program, and I loved it, and I'm like, I was pretty good at it, and so I went to work in town and I did massage therapy for about 8 years. And towards the end of that is when I decided to, start back at OSU or start college and work my way through college. I was like, I didn't want a whole lot of debt. And so it was a really good, transition for me, and, working first and getting certified in something I could just go straight into doing. And that went really well. It was something I was successful at and could pay for my bills. And, I just felt like I grew up more. And because I'm really, age-wise, senior year, I didn't turn 18 till May. So I was like the young one. So I felt like I just needed more time before I was ready to go to college. And so it was a really good transition. Like everything happened, I feel like the way it was supposed to. And it worked and I loved it. And I was like, okay, now I'm ready to go to school and get my degree, and started in business and then ended up in education.
And when did you graduate?
I graduated from OSU in December 2013. So,
a few years after high school.
yeah.
But you did it.
I did, and it wasn't something that I had intentions of going. I just, I took my time. I didn't have any rush or felt like I have to get this done immediately because this is, I don't know,
And more focused once you got there.
Yeah. So once I got, in school and I could kind of nail down really what I wanted. It's like at 17, fresh 18, I was like, I know I want to do massage therapy, but I don't have any idea what I'm going to do in college. Let's get through this. And then started working, and I was busy all the time, with work, and I liked that. I liked having that flexibility in the income and not having to stress about school. And I just still felt like I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that yet. I'll get there, but after a couple of years, I was like, okay, let's start. Let's do it.
So, what aspect of education did you do?
So I started early childhood, and I did a year of early childhood, and I liked it, but I really loved science, and I was like, I kind of want to do maybe middle school, and so I bumped up to elementary ed, and so I got my degree in elementary education, and that was when I got into more science-heavy courses, and more specific to what I was actually interested in. I've always been like an astronomy nut. I love all things NASA, and always have, and so that's kind of what led into the mission to Planet Earth my senior year here and being selected for that. And so that kind of set the trajectory of what I did from graduation to now. So
talk a little bit more about Mission to Planet Earth.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
So the name of the program has changed, but NASA Space Grant Consortium has a program here in Oklahoma, and Dorinda Rice-Hoover, who works in, I think she's in SEED, but she was over, at the time she was at OU, and now she's here at OSU. But she was kind of the lead on all of that, and they select 2 senior students in education from different campuses across Oklahoma. And so I was one of the 2 from OSU that got selected to participate in Mission to Planet Earth, and it was a 10-day summer professional development for incoming teachers. And so we were on campus at OSU or at OU for 10 days, and long days, 8 to 8, and then evening things. Got to fly an airplane. So I had logged pilot hours, all kinds of different activities and lesson plans that I would use in the classroom. And so that really sparked what I wanted to teach. I was like, it's NASA, like this is NASA stuff, and I can take that and put it in the classroom. And so after that, they had 2 more follow-up meetings. There was one in the fall, which was like kind of their iPad workshop, learning how to use different types of apps and being creative with the iPad in the classroom with students. And then the following meeting was a trip to Johnson Space Center, which was incredible. But the group that I was part of that year, I didn't get to go to Johnson Space Center because they had to push it back, and it was supposed to be, I think, in the fall or in the spring, and they had to push it back or something happened. And so they changed the dates, and so she let me know what the dates were, and I was like, I can't go to Johnson Space Center that weekend. She's like, well, why? I was like, that's the weekend I'm getting married. She's like, oh, okay. Well, we're still going, but we'll get you on when the next group goes to Johnson Space Center, which ended up working in my benefit because the next year they actually got to go on the Jet Propulsion Lab floor, it's the Neutral Buoyancy Lab. And so the big indoor pool where the astronauts train, we got to go on the floor of that and watch the astronauts in training in the pool while they're working on simulations for when they would go to the International Space Station. So that was super, super cool. I got lunar certified, so I went through they do background checks for that. So we had to submit background checks, and it's where being lunar certified allows you to legally check out moon rocks. So that was kind of a big deal for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm legal. I could really check out moon rocks if I wanted to. So that was kind of a high point, that trip. Just going to Johnson Space Center in general and seeing mission control from the Apollo missions, the real setup, and then the current mission control, rooms and what they were actually working on, and being back there and seeing it. And then, the suits that they're working on for different missions. They were working on Orion, which is what they sent to take pictures of the sun. So like seeing that and the prototypes and what they were working, like my little nerd heart was so happy seeing all of that and experiencing it like in person, which isn't something that the general public just gets to tour, but because we had the clearance and we were part of this very specific program, we were given a lot more of the inside look at things, which was just incredible.
And could you ask questions if you didn't understand some of what was going
on?
Oh,
absolutely, yeah. They had people that were working with stuff, and if we had questions or wanted more information, they were willing to talk to us about it. It was kind of nice to know that even though you were there, they were willing to talk about things. Now, I don't know if there's high clearance things that they weren't allowed to say and wouldn't tell us, but I mean, most of our questions were pretty surface type of stuff. So we knew that they wouldn't give more detail than they could.
Well, what did you have to do in order to get to do that? It was competitive.
So there was an application process that you had to go through and submit, and you had to have references from different professors. I think you had to have 2 letters of recommendation to be able to submit the application. And so I was lucky enough to get to be, accepted into the program.
Was the other student that got to go a female as well?
Yes, her name was Molly, and so she and I became friends at that, and so I think she's in Tulsa teaching now, but yeah, so both female.
Well, for the other students in the group, was it pretty even?
It was more female heavy. Wow. For people that were accepted into that, and maybe because it was education.
Maybe
there were probably 3 or 4 men that were in the program, but it was predominantly female. So
well, you're maybe right with the education angle.
Yeah, but they accept like elementary ed or secondary. So I think some of the secondary were more like high school science. Teachers.
So when you were ready to graduate, what were you planning to teach? Grades 1 through 6 or something?
I was certified 1 through 8, and so at the time, so I graduated in December of 2013, and then that spring of 14 is when I got married. But then I got back from my honeymoon, and my aunt called me, and she's like, "I need a long-term sub in my kindergarten classroom." And so I was like, okay, well, I haven't been offered a job or anything yet. I mean, it's towards the end of the spring semester, there's no jobs open. So it's like, okay, well, I'll come be your long-term sub. So it's kind of fun, like starting out, I was in my aunt's classroom, in kindergarten with those funny little kids. They are just hilarious. And so that kind of got me in the door at Perry, because that's where she was. So I lived here in Stillwater, and so I just commuted every day. And so the principal there, when they had job openings, the 6th grade science teacher was retiring. And I was like, so about that position, I think I'd like to apply for that. And she's like, okay. And they had a 2nd grade position. And so a girl that I actually met at Mission to Planet Earth that summer applied at Perry and got the 2nd grade position. So I met her during the summer PD, and when we saw each other, we were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here. So it was kind of fun to see that one of my friends from that summer event got hired on. And so she got the 2nd grade job, and I got the 6th grade science position. And I loved it. Like, if education wasn't so hard right now, I would go back. But
so you brought some of what you learned that summer into the classroom.
And so what I ended up, like, the textbook that we had was super outdated. I mean, just the book itself was outdated, and they were torn up, and they were just not in good condition, which was not a big deal, because I was like, we're not using the textbook. I created my own curriculum that I wanted to follow. A lot of it was NASA stuff, but I also used stuff from NOAA, and then just creating lesson plans and things that went along with it. And so whenever I started, we had kind of vertically aligned with 6th grade, 7th, and 8th grade. And in Perry, our building was 3rd through 6th grade. So I had the oldest group, and then they would go to junior high for 7th and 8th grade. But they test at state level 5th grade science at the time. And so it made sense for me to align with the middle or the junior high classes. And I was like, okay, so how do we want to structure this? What do we want it to look like? I was like, and they were all like, I don't want to teach earth science. I'm like, well, that works out because I do. I love earth science and I love space science. And they're like, well, you can have those. And so the 7th grade was like, I want life science, and 8th grade wanted chemistry. So it kind of worked out. We restructured what we wanted our kids to learn 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And also looking at the time, the 8th grade science test and what it was heavier on, and, aligning what we did based on that and what the kids would test on. And so I feel like I got lucky. I got the good end because I got to teach what I was really passionate about, and so did they. And it just worked out really well. And so my goal was, they're like, earth science seems so boring. It's like rocks and you're talking about the old stuff. I'm like, oh, we can make that exciting. Just trust me, we can make that fun. I was like, my goal is to make lovers of science. Like, it's not going to be a textbook kind of classroom. Like, we can have a textbook. There was a classroom set. We didn't get them out very often. It was all hands-on, project-based curriculum that I created for them.
And did they get into it?
Oh my gosh, they loved it. And I had all different levels of learners, and you just adapt to what those kids need. And so you would take the kids that maybe struggled or, are typically outside of the box thinkers, and they don't fit that mold of here's what you should be doing and how you're expected to do it. It's not how our classroom was set up. And so my low kids were excelling because they were allowed to think how it makes sense to them. And so they would come up with some of the coolest stuff. Like when we did our paper roller coaster, some of my lower kids had the best roller coaster. And it's just, you see them excel, and the other kids be like, oh my gosh, look what they did. And they're just so proud. They're like, I actually did something great. Like, of course you did. Like, it's your brain, you're using it, you're getting to do how you want to do it. And so I think that was my favorite part, was, allowing them to just explore and be curious and not be stuck to a textbook.
And seeing the light go off sometimes.
Yes, and the light went off all the time. They're like just constantly, I remember one project that we had. It's always this activity that we do towards the end of the school year, and they were in a group of 4 or 5, and they had to create a business plan for an economic, it was an environmental company that protects some sort of natural resource. And so one of my group of boys in my fourth hour was rough. They were a rough group of kids, but this group of 4 boys, they were constantly in trouble and always going to the principal's office. They had the best presentation, and their whole portfolio that they came up with on what their business plan was going to look like, how they were going to structure it. When they came to class to present, because it was kind of like a Shark Tank thing, I was like, I was the investor, tell me to invest in your business. How are you going to present this so that I want you, to fund you? So they came in, they were dressed in suits, and they were so poised and like calm, and they presented it so professionally. I was just like, who are you? And I was like, okay, so I'm going to need you to do this again, like for other people, because it's so good. These teachers and parents and kids, other kids who know what a challenge this group of kids are, it's like, they're going to be blown away. And so I had them do it again, and it's just like, I can't believe they could be like that. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it's just, seeing that group. And one boy, he was just so proud. He was like, Miss O'Mealey, I didn't know I could do that. I was like, well, I told you could. I knew it was there. We just had to find it. And he's like, I think I'm going to do something with this. I was like, I hope you do. So it's just, even at 6th grade, they really did still want to learn. And even though they, towards the end of the 6th grade year, they get kind of hormonal and crazy. But they still were willing to work and learn. And
so that group, have they had time to graduate from high school?
And they are seniors this year. So that particular group are seniors in high school this year. And so actually on my walk here, I saw one of my students from my first year. She was walking to class. I was like, oh my goodness, my first group of babies, they're on campus now.
You just wonder, you go back and check in and see if that was a significant turning point for them.
Yeah. And I have some students that stay in touch with me or their parents, and they'll be like, you don't understand the impact that you had in like believing in my son. Or there was one boy, his mom and I became friends like after he was out of my class, and she writes me off and on and will tell me, she's like, you don't have any idea the impact that you made on him. Like, he struggled in school, and he would come in at lunch and I'd help him with his papers or his research or what he was doing. And one day, like on my lunch, I had run to grab, I don't remember what it was, I think it was like a hamburger or something for lunch. And I ended up with two because it was going to be a long night and I was going to eat one for dinner. So he came in and he was like, he was just real bummed out, and like, what's the matter? He's like, I'm hungry and I didn't have any money for lunch. I was like, I've got an extra hamburger. Do you want it? He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, you can have it. Like, it's a hamburger and we'll work on your paper. It'll be fine. And so his mom was like, you doing that and like made such a difference. Like, he realized he was at school and he was okay. He was safe. Like, somebody's got his back. If mom's not there, somebody's got his back. And so she's like, you believed in him, you helped him and encouraged him, and he has never had that from other teachers. I was like, okay, thank you. Like, something simple as come in and yeah, I've got some extra food. Have it.
How did you come to have that set of skills, I guess? I mean, it's the people skills plus your learning skills, but that sort of thing is your soft skills. Where did, how did you learn that along the way? Or
and maybe it was just growing up and seeing my mom the same sort of way, like, you know, having empathy towards other people, and my dad having empathy towards animals. So I love animals, and like, if I could own a zoo, I would. Like, we love animals. So my parents have different sets of empathy and understanding and services that they would give humans or animals. And so my sister and I picked up on a lot of that. And, you know, they're very service oriented. And my Nana was constantly in organizations and clubs and helping and serving. So I feel like just growing up, I saw a lot of that giving nature. And it was just something that I picked up on. It was easy to naturally do and be. I was like, I think that's another reason I went into education. I was like, I love kids and I love education. I was like, even though I didn't want to at first because everybody in my family was, I'm like, but I kind of love it. I think I'll do it. And so it just was natural and easy and didn't seem, I don't know, looking back, if it seemed weird or if it was just, you know, being
genuine, I guess.
Yeah, genuine and caring. And, you know, he was such a sweet kid. And I was just like, but
I'm thinking, how do you instill that with other people so that they can do similar things? I don't know.
That's be a good.
I mean, that's part of, you know, getting more people into the STEM is to do some of those same things.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, kind of one of the benefits from my job now is pouring into my teachers that I serve. So in my job now, so I taught for, it was 4 years. There was 1 year that I took off because I had my first son, and so I stayed home with him for a year. And then my school called me and like, are you willing to come back? I'm like, okay, I'll come back. So I went back to teaching. I'm glad that I did. Like, I truly loved it. And then that spring, one of my co-teachers, she was a 6th grade math teacher. So while I was in Perry, she was 6th grade math. She left and went to Meridian Tech for a year to work in financial aid, and then got a job at Career Tech in the STEM division. So in May of 2019, I get a text message from her. She's like, there's a job opening in my office and I want you to apply. Well, this is my first year back after having Ezra, and I was like, I don't know if I could do that to them. Like, I really love teaching, and I just didn't expect to have a new job, but it's like, okay, well, I'll at least apply. It doesn't hurt to apply. And so this was, you know, the deadline for the application closed May 10th, which was the day after my birthday. And so I talked to my husband, I'm like, should I do it? And I'm like, I'll just do it. You know, it doesn't hurt to try. And so within like 2 days, I got called for an interview. So this all happened super fast. So I got called for an interview, went in the following week and interviewed. And then I think maybe a week later, she called and offered me the job. And so it was double my teacher pay, and I was now a 5-minute drive from my house versus a 40-minute drive. And I was like, and I was pregnant with my second baby at the time. And I'm like, I wouldn't have to commute. We could afford daycare. Ezra can stay in Stillwater to go to daycare because he was going with me to Perry. So we were on the road together, and my husband like, super nervous about that all the time, us driving, which I understand I was too, but that's just what we did. And so it's like, as much as I love teaching, I was like, I couldn't turn down that opportunity. And so then the summer of 2019, I started at Career Tech in the STEM division as a program specialist. And I really didn't know what that would entail. Like I went to, I'd gone to Meridian Technology Center. I'm like, are they the same sort of entity? Like what, I had a lot to learn about what Career Tech is. And so Career Tech is over all of our technology centers. And so they're the accrediting body for all the technology centers in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma Career Tech is one of the strongest in the nation. Like other states look to our Career Tech and try to model what we have. So it's kind of cool to be a part of this side of education. And so we have close to 500 STEM teachers in Oklahoma that are Career Tech STEM. So between our comprehensive schools, so we have middle school teachers, junior high, high school, and then also our tech centers. And so I personally have, between my comprehensive and my tech centers, about 175 teachers that I serve within my region of Oklahoma. So there's 4 program specialists in our office, and then we each have a region of the state that we support. But then we also have our program area. So I have aerospace. Since that's one of our new areas and something I love. So when we first started talking about this being added to the STEM area, I was talking to my boss. I was like, so Tanya, when this comes up, I really want to be over that. Is that okay? I was like, I'll give Angie biomed and I'll take this. She's like, that's fine if Angie's okay with it. And so I asked my colleague Angie, because I was over biomed and biotech, and those were the teachers that I also supported. So within my region, but also across the state, specifically, if they were a biomed teacher or a biotech teacher, I supported them additionally. And so my coworker Angela, she taught high school biology, and I think she has some chemistry and AP courses. And so she had a lot better understanding of the biomed stuff, but she was hired on after me, so she didn't get the biomed and biotech. I had it. And so then once we got aerospace, I was like, so do you want these? Because I'm taking aerospace. And she's like, yes. So we did a little swapping. And so now I have aerospace and technology engineering. So those are my 2 areas.
And when you say you support teachers around, what does that entail?
So when I support our teachers, so if it's a new teacher, we have 5 touch point dates that we meet with our teachers throughout their first year as a career tech teacher. So they'll come to our new teacher academy in the summer, which is usually 2 to 3 days. And we have it at Meridian Technology Center. And so we teach them all things career tech and what does your program look like? How do you do these reports that we have to do in your career tech student organization? So for us, TSA is what aligns with the STEM, so the Technology Student Association, which is like FFA is to AG and FCCLA is to FACS. Okay. And so they're all part of the career tech system as well. So we have, Oklahoma Career Tech is all over, and we touch all those programs. But for us, when I support my teachers, it's phone calls, emails, we say 48 hours max turnaround time, usually 24 hours turnaround time on replying. So we give them individualized one-on-one, support and help if they call me and they have a question about something, or how do I do this, and reports that they submit to us that we use for data and our federal funding. I'll go in and, fix those if they have little mistakes, or call them up, or if they just need, talk down from something crazy that's happened, they'll call and be like, okay, Kristye, help me out. And so, we work with our teachers on whatever they need, or if they need a lesson plan, or I can't find this, can you do this? So it's very individualized. It's still kind of like teaching, but with my teachers in the STEM area. So I get to serve the teachers who are then working with their students.
And the career tech's not out in the schools?
No, they're in the schools too.
They're in the schools
yes.
too?
So
okay.
I have, in my region of Oklahoma, I have 92 teachers that are in public middle school and high school classrooms. So we have career tech teachers in all divisions in our public schools. So they're Oklahoma certified teachers. They just join and become part of career tech, and we actually fund them. So they don't have to pay or anything to be part of career tech.
Well, and that's where I'm getting a career tech teacher is what?
So let's say I'm in a science classroom and I want to be part of the career tech system, I can be a middle school science teacher, but also say that I'm going to teach. So classes are coded with OCAS codes through the State Department of Ed.
Okay.
And so State Department of Ed has their numbers that they use for every single class that's taught in public schools in Oklahoma. So career tech classes have specific numbers that they use. And so when they report those to SDE, they say, okay, so these are classes that are being taught at the career tech side. So we have syllabi, lesson plans, program pathways that our students follow in middle school and high school. So that's, I mean, it just is kind of dependent on if the school district can support it. You can have a half-time program or full-time, so maybe 3 classes out of 6, or full-time would be 6 out of 6 or 7 out of 7, classes that are career tech focused classes. I feel like I'm not doing a very good job of explaining.
No, I kind of get what you're saying too. So they would be teaching, like for your areas, they would be teaching.
They could be teaching. Right, so like in high school, they would be teaching our aerospace program, since we have 2 pathways for that. So there's the aircraft maintenance program, and so those students would be able to start their freshman year, and it's 4 years. So they do year 1, 2, 3, and 4, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and senior's capstone. They would go through those classes and finish the first third of their general maintenance, so they could test for that and then go straight into work like at American Airlines. And so that program allows these high school students to start there if they know they're interested in it, and have that ready to go as soon as they graduate. And then our second pathway is the pilot. So we use the AOPA curriculum, and there's the regular airplane pilot, and then we have one for drones and unmanned systems. So they can choose which one they want to go to. The first year is the same for all, and then they break off into second, third, and fourth year depending on what type of pilot they want to be. And so drones are like booming across the state. Like everybody's starting to get into drones, and it's not just in the STEM area. You're seeing it in ag, or we're seeing it in health, and EMTs using it to survey wrecks, and firefighters using it to look at grass fires or field fires. Drones are encroaching on all areas of life and not just STEM, but we offer, those startup, if you're interested, this is where you start, and then when you graduate, you can move into those, and you already have, a good solid foundation for what you're going to be learning, and you may be able to bypass some of that stuff that you would be taking in college classes, or that you may have to do like on the job training, because you already are certified and have that under, what you're trying to do.
So when they finish that, they can either choose to go on into a career or go to college to take the next step.
And our
so you have to learn about drones first.
Yeah, to a degree, yes. I don't need to know all the nitty gritty of it, but the general function, how to look at a kit, build a kit, suggest what they might want to use depending on the grade level. If they're middle school kids, maybe they want a Tello because they're smaller. Or if they're high school and they're looking at more like commercial or competitive, they may want one of the bigger kits. So it just kind of depends on what grade level we're looking at and what extent they're trying to do, within their program. So we do a lot of learning on our end too, to be able to provide that support to our teachers. So with the aerospace, like yesterday I was at the Capitol all day for Aerospace Day at the Capitol. And so it was a bunch of different aerospace companies in Oklahoma, and there were some from other states that came to promote what they offer and for businesses to network and be like, well, we're looking for this kind of component for our business, and they'll see, does anybody here offer what we're looking for? So it's a really good networking, but also a lot of high school students came if they're interested in aerospace and aviation, for them to see, well, here's the opportunities. And so what's kind of cool about our position is we're that education entity for the high school students that want to move into those. We're kind of that starting point. If you're interested, let's look at these courses that your teachers can offer and get you started, so that when you graduate, you can go straight to work for these companies. And more times than not, our career tech students get job offers and hired before others, because they already have, a lot of them have certifications, they have that training and the very specific courses and programs that align with business and industry standards. So that's kind of what our role is preparing our students for the workforce. But we also have college pathways like the pre-engineering, the biomed, the biotech. So we have both choices. If you just want to go straight to work, here are the classes you can take for that. But if you're college bound, here's our, other pathway and some, different rigor type of programs that would go more the college route.
Well, in the short time that you have been there, have you noticed gender differences on which path they're taking?
Yes, and I also think that our teachers are way more aware of it, because I think that's what we hear more from our teachers. Like, how can we help? What do you see you're struggling? And like, we want more, female and also, minorities, because a lot of the classes are white male heavy. And so they're like, we really want to open this up to females. And in an office at Career Tech, our STEM office is all female. We've all been teachers. And so we're like, well, here's some things that maybe you could think about, or here's what we could do. And so we are seeing a tremendous growth in the number of female students that are entering our programs. So one of the things that was kind of cool this morning, we have our Technology Student Association State Conference is next month. And so our students that have been working on projects and their event all school year are coming to compete so they can move on to nationals. Well, 2 or 3 years ago, our goal was to get 1,000 students registered. This morning, we're almost 2,000 students and registration just closed. So we're beyond capacity, but when we look at, we've doubled in size and the number of, we kind of look at the demographic data, so many more females and more minorities that are on there because they're getting involved and they're participating and learning how to do all these things. And so our teachers are doing what they were seeking out to do. And it's just so exciting. Like, oh my gosh, we have 2,000 students that are going to be, at our state competition next month.
So what was the secret to getting it up there? Do you know? I mean, what were you encouraging them to do, some of the solutions?
So I think some of it was, we have a lot of male teachers just because of the nature of like the pre-engineering, the technology engineering, and so they're like, as a male, I don't know what to do to encourage girls. Like, do I offer them t-shirt design? Do we use the embroidery machine? I'm like, well, sure, they'd like that, but girls like to build things too. So, let's think about how we can, market that where it doesn't seem like it's just a guy thing that they need to be working, but like, how are you going to market this to your girls? So like, I can totally do that. Bring in female guest speakers, take them on field trips to places that, are owned by females, or there's a female presence that for wherever you might be going. Like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, just simple things. And I think a big thing was post-COVID, like trying to recover from all of that, and let's get these kids interested again and trying to do something and not, just sit around and be lazy and expect things to just be given to us. And so we're seeing a change in that. Our teachers are like, okay, this year's been really good. Our kids are super involved and we're doing more. We're going on more field trips. We're getting guest speakers to come in. And I think that has been a huge impact for our classrooms. And, again, with our support, here's people that you can connect with that are in your district. So that's another service that we do is connect our teachers with businesses or people that might be willing to come to their classroom and to, help them out. Because it's so hard to find bus drivers or people that, are willing to sub if you take your kids or to drive or something. So guest speakers coming in is kind of the golden ticket area right now. I mean, getting out to the field, it was way better, going on field trips and seeing everything in real life, what they're doing actually is happening in real life.
Makes an impact.
It does. It really does. When they see the real life application of what they're learning, like, do I have to build this? When am I ever going to use it? And they go and see it. It just makes all the difference. Like, okay, or it opens them up to different career ideas. So like our middle school programs are geared more towards exploration, career exploration and STEM exploration. And what does that look like? So they just, whatever, we kind of help tailor the district needs. Like if they're in Oklahoma City, well, you've got Tinker, you've got Boeing, you've got Dell, all these companies that are right there. So let's get them in your school. And then if there's a smaller area, well, here's, smaller district, here's some people that you could connect with, tours you can take, just because we want them to be exposed to different careers, different opportunities, different ideas. You know, like I think back to my days when I was teaching in Perry, and it's an agricultural heavy area, and so the kids were either I'm going to be a farmer or I'm going to work like at McDonald's or Brahms or the gas station. There's not a lot there. It's either you farm or you do, and maybe you get a job at Ditch Witch. Some kids have parents that work there, but they didn't realize what all was out there. And so that was also one of my big goals was let's expose the kids to all types of careers and opportunities and things that they could actually be good at. I had one boy that his reading level was real low, but I was like, I have a feeling because you know how to take motors apart, you could go into some sort of mechanics. And so we talked about the auto mechanic program at Meridian, and that was something that he actually got into, despite, low level reading, got that up, but that was something he went into. It was, successful with, because he was in my first group of students that I had. And so they're all college age now, so he went through that, and something he never thought he would do, or because, as he said, I'm too dumb, I can't read, I don't know how to do anything. I'm like, yes, you do. You are so good at taking apart motors and engines and rebuilding them, and you can look at the diagrams and see what you're supposed to do. And he's like, well, yeah, but that's easy. I'm like, exactly. For you, that's easy. So let's look at getting into the auto mechanic program. And sure enough, I was like,
it's like you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and yeah, it's amazing. And you from teaching 25 kids in a classroom to now it's fingers touching a lot more.
Yeah, and it's like, even though I miss the classroom, like, oh gosh, I miss it so much. I'm making an impact with my teachers that are working with the students. And so my teachers are really good about inviting me to come participate or be judges for events that they're having, or just come see what they're doing. And I think that's probably one of my favorite parts of my job now is when my teachers are like, Kristye, you need to come down and like see what they built with this, or they'll send me pictures. And I'm like, I live vicariously through you guys. Please send me all the things. Like, I miss the classroom, I miss the kids, but they're really good about inviting us. And not just like the middle school or high school, but the tech centers too. Like, our tech centers are really well taken care of by their administration teams, because they're set up differently and they're funded differently than just our public school teachers. Some schools, they may be the only career tech teacher there, so they don't have a lot of support, which is why our job is so important in helping support that teacher. But one of my tech centers, their seniors are getting ready to do their capstone, and so I was visiting, and she's like, I want you to come back, and like, you don't have to be a judge, but would you come back and watch my seniors present their capstone research? I'm like, absolutely. So I'll get to do that later in April, but like, they're always like, do you want to come down for this? I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm already scheduled to go somewhere for that day, but it's like, invite me again. And so they're really good about reaching out and be like, do you want to come see what the kids are working on? You want to come be a part of this? I'm like, yes, I do.
What's some of the cool things that you've seen them do?
Oh, goodness.
Recently.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of different things that I've gone to. So there was, we have, one of our courses is medical detectives, and that's in our middle school program. And so they learn how to take patient information and run just like blood pressure, temperature. So they kind of go through, like, whenever you first go for your doctor's visit, they run through all of that, and then you're given some sort of illness and you have to explain your symptoms and they have to diagnose you. So that was something I did in the fall with one of my schools. And then another one was the pull toy parade. So they take their robotics kits and they build toys or some sort of animatronic out of their robot kit, and then they make a parade of what they've built through the school, and so they show off what they've built. And so I've been invited and seen some of those, which are pretty neat. I do love our state conference though, because that's where you get to see everything the kids have worked on, whether it's the board game design, flying drones, building and racing dragsters, the VEX robotics competitions. We have over 80 competitions between middle school and high school that our kids can compete in. So it's very full. There's so many different competitions. And there's also speech, presentations, comic book design, short stories, like Rube Goldberg. There are tons of just STEM related competitions that our kids work on. And so they'll have mini conferences where they can go and compete and work on those projects and fix them so when they come to state, they're better. And then we have regional conferences. So going to those, I love going to those and judging and helping give feedback so they can improve so they get to state and then go on to nationals. That's what we want. We want our kids to go to nationals. And Oklahoma usually has a really solid turnout at nationals.
So you don't think, I mean, you think about FFA and 4-H and then science fairs. You've heard about this. Is similar to science fairs, I guess, but a little bit
more intense. Because I used to do science fair with my kids in 6th grade, but this is like massive scale, like project fair. Kids building just incredible things, or they may have a time limit and they're given material. Build your thing. They have animatronics, so they build their robots and make them. There was one girl who built a unicorn last year, like an animatronic unicorn. They learn how to build their drones and fly them through obstacle courses.
So they have to know science and they have to know math to figure some of that out.
The engineering design process, they need to know that. I mean,
all of that.
Yeah.
It's a good blend.
It is. And what's nice is usually the schools are really good about supporting the STEM programs and blending what they're doing and making sure that the kids are, getting what they need, not just in science, but in their math and history of maybe how something evolved and has progressed, like the bridge building. But it really does encompass everything.
So you said you have a region. What's your region in the state?
So my region is land mass wise the smallest, but I have from Edmond down to Marietta and then along I-35. So it's not very big, but I have the most teachers because I have the metro area. And so then we have like the southeast, southwest, and like the north. And then I have my little chunk. Which they also, when I started, they were very nice. And my office was really nice to give me that region because it wasn't the furthest drives because I had little kids and they are all past little kid stage in life with theirs. And so like, well, you've got little ones, you're going to want to get back, in time to pick them up from daycare. So it was very thoughtful on their side to give me that region of Oklahoma. But
well, Marietta takes a little while.
Marietta does take a while to get to. So when I did my last trip to Marietta, I actually I made like a little circuit in that part of the state and stayed overnight so that I could hit, all of those areas, and I'll do that again.
So how often do you have to be in person at these places?
Well, our goal is to try to see every teacher once a year, like in person. So in our new teachers, we see them 5 times a year. At like our different, so like, I don't think I ever finished talking about that, but we see our new teachers in the summer where they come to see us for 2 to 3 days and we cover all things career tech. Then we have a day in September where they come to the state agency here in Stillwater and we help them with the reports that we require for them. They submit a salary and schedule report and then what we call the SESI, which is a student demographic report. And we use all this for data and federal purposes. And then, so we see them those 2 days and then we always make a new teacher visit. We go to their classroom to see them, support them, like how are things going? What can I help you with? And those sometimes are short and sweet because they're like, oh, I got this, we're good. And sometimes they're long, like, we need to talk with my principal because I'm struggling here, or, we're having this issue. My counselor keeps shoving kids into my class. Like, what do I do? So I think there's a whole gamut of things that we do on our new teacher visits, but they're usually pretty laid back. Like, we don't want to stress them out. They're like, do you need to see me teach? I'm like, no, that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to evaluate you. Okay. I'm here to help you. Like, what do you need? I'm like, your principal evaluates how you're teaching. I'm here to see that your program is successful and you have the support you need, the materials you need. What can I do to help you? This is what we do there. But our goal is to see every teacher at least once a year.
What's some of the biggest challenges to that?
Having the time to see everybody between all of our conferences and events that we do. And like I said, I have 90 comprehensive teachers. Then I have 9 technology centers. So we've got like Francis Tuttle, Gordon Cooper, Eastern Oklahoma County, Mid-Del, Mid-America, Red River. I think there's another one, but so I have tech centers, then I go see them. They don't really need me as much, again, because they're really well supported and taking care of anything they need, they get at their tech center, whereas comprehensive, like, can you call my principal? Can you get me this? Like, what do I need to do here? So comprehensive gets a lot more of our attention and time versus our tech center. We've had tech center teachers be like, so what do I need you for? I'm like, whatever. Like, you're well taken care of. If they say no, which they don't ever say no at tech centers. Like, if they say no and you really want it, then I guess you can call me. But just know I'm here to support you. If there's anything you need, that's what I'm here for. But yeah, so just having the time, I still have some teachers I need to see, and I'm like, the school year is almost over, and I still have some visits I need to make. And I'm just like, we're running out of time because we're just constantly scheduled for something. But I think this has been the busiest year that I've had at Career Tech.
Well, with 2,000 kids in the
Yeah, in STEM, between all of our programs in STEM, we have over 40,000 students.
across the state.
Across the state, yeah. So we service a lot of students. Which
Is that
pretty
the
cool.
heaviest?
No, we're actually not one of the larger divisions. Ag is the largest, so all the FFA, and I mean, in Oklahoma, that is not a surprise. I mean, they are a powerhouse of career tech, and that's great. I mean, we need that. So they're definitely the largest, and then I think FACS, like Family and Consumer Sciences, I think they're the second largest, and then us, Health, and then BMIT. The business area. So, but we service, I want to say, but across all divisions, around 200,000 students a year across Oklahoma for Career Tech. So we impact a huge majority of our students in Oklahoma, which is pretty cool.
Yes, that's all, a lot of impact. I can see why you switched in that sense, but missing the hands-on.
Yeah,
too.
I do miss the hands-on. But what's kind of nice about events that we host is there's a lot of hands-on. So we still get to see the kids problem solve and think and create and work in those groups. And like, again, that's why I love going to our state conference, because you get to see all of that and talk to the kids. And again, tell my teachers, invite me because I miss it. So I have really good working relationships with my teachers, and all of us in my office have really good working relationships with our teachers. They know we are genuinely there to support them and help them with whatever they need. So it's really nice to, it does help with teacher retention because they know that they are being supported. They do have somebody. Our funded programs, they get $9,100 to spend in their classroom for whatever materials they need for the year, and then they also get a $2,200 stipend for being a career tech teacher. So that covers the time that they take to do those reports, which are kind of easy. They don't take a terribly long amount of time, but also being their TSA advisor for the school year. Okay. So they're compensated, and they are given money, and they can apply for lottery grants, and then also our innovative and high growth grants through federal funding. So there's lots of financial opportunities to support their classroom and their program, which is kind of nice.
You have to keep up with all that.
And we do get to keep up with all of that, yes.
So you mentioned during the COVID year earlier, can you compare it to what was that like that year? Because you would have been pretty new.
It was pretty new. So the first 2 years of working at Career Tech, I feel like I didn't even work, because I started in July and I was pregnant, and that was one of my concerns. I was like, in my interview, I was like, look, I'm gonna be on maternity leave in October. Is that gonna be a problem? Like, no, we've all had babies. Like, we get it. It's like, okay. So it was on. Started in July, went on maternity leave mid-October, came back in January, was there for 9 weeks, and then we all shut down for COVID. So it's like my first year wasn't really much of anything, I feel like. And then COVID, trying to get through that, like that summer, everybody, like the agency worked from home, and we had meetings every day virtually to kind of plan on what are we going to do for our teachers and how are we going to set that up. And so we did a lot of work on finding activities and lessons that were unplugged, so students wouldn't have to have any sort of electronic device and things that would be found around the home. So we created a bunch of lesson plans for our teachers. So when their students, we knew that a lot of our students wouldn't have internet access or access to the materials that a classroom would typically have. So that's what we spent our summer doing, was developing lesson plans for our teachers for unplugged STEM activities. And so they would use those if they needed that. But it was a challenge. Like, how do I get my kids through this? How do I get them involved? How do I get them to show up? And like, everybody's asking that question. I was like, we don't have an answer, but we have things that you can use to help increase engagement, help increase, students showing up and participating. And so like, even though it's, we may have to have certain expectations on how they have to check in or whatever that is. And so, but the students knew that there wasn't a whole lot of accountability. So like, what are you going to do? Like, you can't come over to my house. So, it was rough. And I think that first full year back after, it's still the teachers across the board were like, can't get my kids to do anything. They just spent, 6 months of not having to do anything, and they still think they don't have to do anything. And so retraining the kids on how to school, how to participate, how to show up, how you talk to each other, how to interact, because there wasn't much interaction. So you take those kids they've just gotten out of 5th grade, they're going 6th or 7th grade, and they've lost some of those social skills, really any of the grades. But like, we are struggling, and it was, that first year back was really hard for our teachers. And so it was where we had to really support and kind of love on and encourage. Like, I know it's hard, and I know you want to quit and you want to leave, and you're doing a tremendous service, and we don't want to lose you. But I think the year after that, once they kind of started retraining, it got a little bit better. And then we're at this school year where it's so much better. Like, at least for seeing our career tech STEM teachers, the engagement, I think just some of that, kids are learning what those STEM courses are and hearing about it and seeing the fun stuff that they actually get to do and building and creating. And so I think that, and it's taken some time, but COVID was rough. It hurt a lot of our programs. I mean, it hurt everybody's programs, but everybody suffered with it. But it's finally, I think people have stopped using the COVID excuse so much,
They still have to find a way to entice them again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and which is kind of nice with our STEM programs, because they get to hear the projects, and our teachers are really good about displaying or hosting STEM nights or STEM activities so other people can come. And our schools all have advisory committees, so parents, teachers, former students, business and industry come and help, support the program, and like, here's what we need, or here's how we can improve. And so it's kind of nice that they have that. So there's, I don't know if accountability, but just it helps keep the program strong and relevant to what the district needs, which is nice.
Do you have a running list of mentors? I mean, people that can.
You should see the amount of spreadsheets that we have.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I've got spreadsheets for different tech centers, districts, sending schools, my teachers, businesses that connect with them. We have a whole division that works on Connect to Business. I think they changed the name of that. It's not Connect to Business anymore, but they are the ones that collect information from industry and connect them with the schools that are in that region. So, I mean, there's all over the agency, there's a way to connect with somebody somewhere. And so we do help with all of that, and keep track of different contacts that we need to collect. So
just be open and flexible, huh?
Yes, yeah. And things change so fast. People change so quickly. And it's like we don't ever know if we have the correct information for some people. Like, it just...
Well, if you had like a 6th grader in front of you today and you want to encourage her into going into one of the STEM fields, what kind of conversation would you have?
I would probably want to find out what she's interested in first. Like, what are those interest areas? And then let's go see women that do that. Let's, explore what that really looks like. Let's go see, and I know that tech centers are a great place to start with that and see how to start in those program areas. But I think just the exposure of women doing those sort of things. So if she's into building and engineering, well, let's go find some female engineers and talk to them and job shadow and,
Well, they might not even know what an engineer is.
Well, that's true. So that's
part of
yeah.
exposing what you said earlier about different careers out, what options might be.
Yeah.
Hence the career tech, right?
Yes,
the
yeah,
name.
Hence the career tech, yeah.
So no regrets having switched switched at this point?
No, I don't regret it at all. Like, my STEM team is phenomenal. Like, we all genuinely get along really well. We enjoy each other's company. We support each other. It's so nice because you don't always get a team that everybody really likes each other. So that helps a lot too. Like, not only is it a job that's a lot of fun, it's time consuming and there's a lot of travel, but we're all doing it. We're all in it together. We all enjoy each other. It's really nice to be in an office full of women that rally each other on. And I know that anyone has my back and they all know we have each other's back. So it's really encouraging to be.
You wonder if that dynamic would change if a male entered, if there was a mixed.
We've had that conversation because after I was hired, there was one more position they opened up, and there was a guy that had interviewed for it, and just like it really would change the dynamic of how this office functions, and we already get along so well, and Angela ended up with a position and we just all clicked. It's like you just know sometimes when you meet somebody, you're like, yep, that's the person. And I do think about if we open up another position, another program specialist position, we've talked about, would we want a male or a female? I mean, it's, STEM is pretty heavy in the male. Would our male teachers connect with that guy and like maybe do things better, differently? I mean, we've had those kind of conversations, and it's like, we have some male teachers that have been around forever and they get irritated with us. We're like, that's not how we do it. Like, well, it's how it has to be now. So like, if we had a guy in there telling him that, all right, man, cool, we'll do it that way then.
You wonder if that's still the case.
Yeah.
Or if it's a generational thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I will say, like, as far as program specialist, my manager, I'm the youngest in my office. I'm also the smallest, like they're all kind of tall, and being blonde, a lot of people don't take me seriously. And so that has been, I've really had to learn how to be assertive and find my voice and dealing with different people, not necessarily the teachers, but just kind of in industry or in settings where I need people to listen to me, and I get brushed off a lot, or they think I'm not part of what I am. But like no, I need you to listen. This is what I need you to do. Like, who do you think you are? Like, let me tell you. So I can empathize with people.
Did you have someone help you get to that stage of being able to? Okay, this is like this.
I think my manager really helped a lot as far as, she's like, you are an important person and what you do is important and impactful. And like, because I've always kind of been one of the under the radar people. I'm not one that likes, to talk about myself or put myself out there. Like, it just felt very uncomfortable. And so this position has really forced me to grow in general as a person, and, being just talking to more adults all the time. Like, because in a classroom, I was comfortable talking to the kids and teaching and being around them and kind of silly with them. But then being with adults, you're just kind of like, it just felt really uncomfortable. But my boss is like, what you're doing is important. You have the information, you have the ability, just do it. I was like, okay. And so it's just been her encouragement and helping me kind of see what my job and my responsibilities are, in a very loving and kind way, like pushing me to grow.
Like you did your students.
Yes,
she
exactly.
Shared her burger with you.
She did. And she's so good at that. Like, I don't know that I've ever had a boss that is so empathetic and understanding to us as humans. Like, we're not just, she taught for a long time. I think she said 30 plus years, and then came to Career Tech in the business division, and then moved up to STEM. And I think she's been a STEM manager for 5 years, almost 6.
Well, she knows her stuff.
She does. She's great. So it's like, not only does she understand what we do, she's so smart and knowledgeable about everything, and is really good at all the Career Tech stuff that she does. But she also understands that we're humans. We're not just her, STEM program specialist employees. She really does treat us like, we're people, and we have feelings and we have issues that we deal with. And she is like, family first and then your job. And we're all in this together. So she always says, we're all in this together. So she just is really great to work for. And like, I wouldn't have any reason to leave. Like, just.
Okay. So you switched from biomed
Biomed and biotech were my program areas.
now it's aerospace.
Into aerospace and technology engineering. Yes.
So in a typical day, if there is such a thing, take us through that day. What would you do throughout a typical day?
Oh man, it's if I'm in the office. Okay, a typical day in the office. Usually I start out with any emails or phone calls that have come in since the day before. Teachers will email quick questions, or if there's things that they need, and work on that. We do have a lot of meetings where we're working on, because we're constantly doing something, or there's because we have so many events that we do throughout the year.
Yeah,
we're
planning
constantly
is in your title.
Planning and working and conducting, and then going back to planning and working. So like right now, we are in the point of what is called Oklahoma Summit planning, and that is what I'm in charge of. So not only do I support my teachers, but I put on our professional development day at Oklahoma Summit. So all career tech teachers are required to come to that. And it's always August 1st and 2nd if it falls on a weekday. And so on August 2nd, which we call day 2, the divisions split out into their areas. And so we bring all of our STEM teachers in on day 2. And I'm in charge of planning all of day 2 and getting all of our presenters and assigning rooms. And last year we had 88 sessions. So I planned for, I'm going to say it was around 50 presenters for that day for all of our different program area types. So that's kind of what I work on currently. So we're also planning for state conference. So I'll take care of my state conference to-do list, which is all checked off. Everything's ready to go for my end for state. So we're good there. So now I'm working on recruiting presenters, volunteers, because it's all volunteer based. We don't have the funds to pay for that kind of stuff. We're also planning for our one-day professional development for our teachers throughout the summer. We ask for their feedback on what they want to see for professional development from us. And so we have one for drones coming up in May here at OSU, at the Research Institute, the unmanned, I'm trying to remember what the acronym is for that one. They have a building off of, just outside of campus where they do all their drone stuff. So we're doing that May 23rd here with our teachers. So it's just still a lot of my normal stuff with my teachers, and then all the planning stuff that we have going on for the different events.
An 8-hour a day.
8-hour day. So I'm there from 8 to 4:30. But I mean, some days go by fast because we're so constantly doing things. And then if there's a lull, it's where we're like, what did I do? Like, I finished that. Like, I don't know. So, but there's really not a whole lot of, I feel like for me, there's not a whole lot of downtime because there's always something that we're working on, which is nice. Like, I don't want to just sit in my office, and I don't like to just sit. But it's nice to go out and have meetings or scheduled visits. And I would say more of my days are spent on the road traveling and visiting teachers. So, or events like yesterday at the state capitol, for Aerospace Day. And so with aerospace, there's a lot of events that I didn't know aerospace had. And I'm learning that there are, and there's different conferences and in-state and out-of-state that I'm going to be going to this next school year. So it's like, I feel like my calendar is already filling up for next year. And it's just like, oh my goodness.
You'll be called in to be a guest speaker.
I hope so. And it's one of the running jokes at the agency is my boss, she'll say to me, who are you? Because there's been times where there's this group of people that I've worked with for 3 or 4 years, and it's a group of women, and we would have meetings for Summit several months that we would get together, and they would all be like, who are you? So it's kind of our jokes. Who are you? So I'm like, but people are starting to remember me now at our aerospace events. I had talked to the director of the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission yesterday. He came up and said hi, and I was like, hi, I'm Kristye. I work in the STEM division at Career Tech. He's like, yeah, I remember you. I was like, you do? Yes. So I was like, I wrote my family later. I was like, the director remembered me. I was like, that's a big deal. Like, when the director of the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission was like, yeah, I remember you. You're like, okay, that's awesome. So
Your energy is high, so I'm sure that helps.
yes, I probably seem like a spaz when I'm at that kind of stuff because I'm so excited because I love it. And I know we've got so many kids that are interested and teachers that want to pursue these programs in their classrooms. And so it just, I'm like a little kid and I'm just so excited. We're like, let's do this and I'm going to go talk to them. I want to meet these people. Like, it was such a good networking opportunity.
And how do you get others excited? That's the big question, I guess.
Yeah, and I think because I'm easily excitable, like I think that kind of just naturally pours out when I talk to other people. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's get excited about it. So that's kind of nice.
Well, that's a good part of your characteristic skills that would come in handy in this, I would think.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is.
So you go all up and down the corridor of 35.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm very comfortable with driving that now, navigating Oklahoma City, and so that's kind of nice. I used to be super intimidated driving that. I'm like, I got this. It's no big deal now.
Yeah, going through Oklahoma City is never fun, though.
No, it's not. I don't enjoy it. I'm just better at it.
If you get to the interchange at Kilpatrick, I figure I'm home free. You know?
Right? Yeah. That's when they're like, okay, I can breathe now.
So to get a break, what do you do for fun when you do get downtime?
Well, I don't have a lot of downtime because I've got two little ones that keep me super busy. But I love to garden. Like, that's probably, if I wasn't in this sort of position and if I ever chose to leave, like, I'd probably want to go into some sort of landscaping and gardening of some sort. Like, I love to garden.
Earth science.
Yes, earth science. There it is. Yep, botany and horticulture, that kind of stuff I love it, and I always have. So always had gardens, and so that's probably my favorite thing is definitely my gardens, unless I have the time to travel, and then I would like to travel. But if I'm at home, my boys and I like to play outside and dig in the dirt, and
You be a master gardener. Is that? I'm not sure where you get that done, but there is such a thing.
Mm-hmm. I went to one of their classes at Botanical Garden a couple summers ago because I used that. It was like a PD for teachers, and so I did one of the Master Gardener courses. That was pretty cool. I had some stuff to take back and wanted to start a community garden, but then I left, so I didn't get to start my community garden at the school.
Well, you mentioned that you recertified. You're keeping up your teaching license.
Yes.
Certification. Do you have to have that in order to do the job you do now?
I believe so. Yeah, I think we do have to. Yeah,
do it.
Since we're working with teachers and we have the teaching certificates, just may as well keep up with it. Or if we ever need to pop in and sub, and I tell my teachers that too. I'm like, if you are ever desperate for a sub and I'm free that day, you let me know. I'll come sub for you.
Have you had that opportunity?
I've been asked once, but it didn't work out. Like, I'd already had an event scheduled, but I've been asked to do it. I'm like, if I could, I would.
And that would be okay with your boss?
Mm-hmm. Like, if I didn't take advantage of it and I wasn't doing it all the time, but like, here or there for one of our student teachers, if it was a circumstance where we needed to, yeah.
Yeah, that's encouraging too for them.
Yeah,
to know that you're there more than one way.
Exactly. So, like, we really do pride ourselves on, our customer service, and we are here for you. Like, I'm sure they get tired of hearing us say that and closing all of our emails. If you need anything, let me know. But they're really good about letting us know if they need something.
What's your favorite part of what you're doing now? Do you have one? Or least favorite if it's easier?
Let's see. Getting into the classrooms, and I still think state, like the whole season of our state conference and going, to the mini conferences and seeing the kids and what they're working on. Anytime I can get into the classroom, like, I want to go see my teachers and see what the students are working on and talking to them and, what they're developing. And that really is the cool part, to see our teachers working on what we help them with and doing that. But again, the state conference, I love it. Just all the kids, and now we've doubled in size. It's going to be a full house because we're at Embassy Suites in Norman. So 2,000 kids, and that downstairs area is going to be packed. But you have a lot of entries of projects and things that they're working on, which is it's just so neat to see these kids and their time to shine. This thing they've been working on, they're so proud of to bring it.
And if they don't win, they get a little disappointed.
They do, but they know what to work on and how to improve. But if they've gone to mini and to regionals, they know if they get to move on. But there's some competitions that are just on site, like the engineering design challenge, where you get the materials and you build something. So it is, I mean, there are going to be kids that are sad when they leave because they don't win, because you can only do first, second, third place, but it's still such a great experience. And seeing other students from other schools dressed like them, and you know, because they all wear their TSA uniform when they come to compete, they have to be in a specific uniform. That's just part of the national TSA rules. When they come to compete, they need to be dressed in their TSA attire. And so you see all these kids of different ages all looking alike and matching, and just the energy of it is like just unmatched. Like the buzz and excitement of these kids are just having
I want to know what their uniform. I mean, I know the blue coats is for FFA, right?
So it's kind of similar. Theirs is a navy
okay.
pantsuit. The girls can wear a skirt if they choose to, but they can wear pants, and then a blue TSA, like a royal blue TSA shirt, and they can wear a tie. I think boys have to wear a tie, and then black shoes. So they look very, very sharp. It's very professional.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine a room full of those. It would be.
Yeah, and so the tie's red, and so they look great. The advisors, teachers, they dress in professional or state attire also, or I'm sorry, TSA attire. They dress in. So like you see them matching their kids, and it is really unifying. And they don't, not to sound stereotypical, but you know, the STEM kids are kind of the nerdier, sometimes outcast kind of kids, but when they get into state and they are like all the other kids, and they all have the same sort of kind of mindset and personality types. Like they're not all the same personality types, but just kind of that general, there's this unity, and they feel like they're really part of something, and they're all just so happy, and they're running around and excited. It's so nice to see those kids feel like they have a place and they're going to do something great with it.
It's rewarding.
Yes, it's very rewarding. Yeah, I think that's probably why I like state so much.
Well, the teachers that come with them, are they primarily are more men than women, or pretty equal at this point?
I feel like it's pretty equal.
At this point.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty equal. Even though it's STEM, we have a huge number of female teachers. So I would say it's probably pretty even.
I figured that would probably balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
Between those two.
Yeah. And our teachers are amazing. Like they're just so innovative and willing to jump in and try new things and do things. And I think part of that is because they have the support from us. They also have support from their schools most of the time, their principals, or some school districts have a career tech director. And so if they've got that support, they feel like, trying new things and exploring these options or ideas. And so I think that kind of sets our career tech teachers apart from comprehensive, just, Common Core type classes. Is there really is an extra level of support, and they're less afraid to try new things. And also it's not, some of our high school classes are for credit, like science or computer science credits. But I do feel like they're a little bit more open to being adventurous in what they want to teach and how they want to do it.
Does Stillwater High have?
They just started. I think this coming school year is going to be their first year to have computer science, because that's something they were working on. I know junior high has it, but we have TSA students here at Stillwater High School, and I think our TSA state officer is a Stillwater High student, but he goes to school at OSSM.
Okay.
So.
Well, have you been back to your science teachers on campus to say, look what we're doing?
No, I haven't. I've seen a few of them, like just in random passing, but I don't know that any of them are still here.
Oh, okay.
But there were a couple that I really liked and talked to, and I did see one. She has a son that is my oldest son's age, and we just actually ran into each other at a birthday party, but for the kids. But
I'm just thinking the one that helped you get in Mission Planet Earth, if they know what you're doing now.
Well, I know so Dorinda, who's over now here at OSU, so I stay in touch with her pretty regularly, and so she knows. She knows what I'm doing, but I also have recruited her to be presenters for us at some of our events. But I really like her; she's amazing. And so we're always like, let's see if we can get Dorinda to come in to present or do the hands-on activities. And our teachers love her; like her stuff is so great. And then Dr. Marks at the time, I think when I applied for that, Dr. Marks was here, but he's since retired, and so he was one of them that had that. And then Caitlin Barnes, she told me about. She was actually the first one who told me about this program. She's like, you need to apply for this. And so I was like, okay, so I did. But so she knows, and then again, Dr. Marks is retired, so even I don't know if any of my other teachers are still here.
So if you're looking ahead like 5, 10 years, what do you see yourself doing, or do you think that far ahead?
I don't know about 10, but 5, I still see myself in this position. Okay. I've had different opportunities come up where like a STEM director in a district, but it's like, I really love what I'm doing, and the flexibility of my schedule, even though we're always doing something, it still is flexible. Like if I needed to take off because my kid was sick, I have the ability to do so, and I don't have to create sub-lesson plans. Or I love that since I like to travel in general, like just going out and driving and going to Oklahoma City or to Marietta even, it's nice to be able to get out of the office and travel.
Yep,
it's just, I don't see myself having any reason to leave unless, I got an education coordinator position at Johnson Space Center, but I mean, they have those positions, and I've thought about applying. I mean, it was before this. My husband was like, I don't know if I can move to Houston. I'm like, but I kind of want this job. He's like, I don't know. I was like, okay, well, I kind of want this job.
What other requirements would it be? Would you need a master's degree? Get that in the meantime.
Right, I could. Though that one did not require a master's, but other requirements, I had everything that it needed. It was just a matter of applying. And he's like, I don't know that I want to go to Houston. I'm like, but it's Johnson Space Center.
Well, at least try and see how far you get.
Yeah.
So you can say, I did.
I know. I could try. It's like, what does it hurt? He's like, well, what if you get it? I'm like, well, I guess I could say no, but it's like, it's Johnson Space Center.
I think OSU's beginning to do a little bit more with aerospace stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you keep eyes out for that.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I'm not actively looking for anything new, but when you see stuff come up and catch your attention, like, But then I have to really sit and weigh and like what I have versus what that might be. And I think about the freedom and flexibility and, just being so close to home, and it just.
And the impact that you're having is.
Yeah. So and I think, the impact, and I was like, I don't really want to leave my teachers, and, I don't, because I have the ability to just, travel and go see my teachers. I was like, or I could be stuck in one district at the same building all the time, and I don't really want to do that.
But things like that you need to know for pros and cons to help the other, people that you're serving to. So, what's out there, and let you weigh pros and cons for things. Mm-hmm. Part of. And
that's something I do. Like if I see jobs come up and I think of maybe one of my teachers, I'm like, I don't want to lose them, but that's an opportunity that they might be really good for. So I would share that with them. So it's like, even though I don't feel like that's something I can do, you might look into it. Like, I don't want you to leave. Don't think I'm telling you I need you to apply for a new job. But it's, if I see something that I think one of my teachers would really be a great fit for, and I'd be willing to share it. But I don't see myself going anywhere different right now.
Going back to Perry, I just thought when I was looking for information about, when I Googled you, I came across a YouTube thing that you had done with 4 or 5 students in your 6th grade about what questions they would ask an astronaut or something.
Oh, I'm trying to think of, we had some videos that we had posted, because I think at the time they were doing, you could send questions to the International Space Station. And there was also, I got to have lunch with an astronaut for one of our events that we did for Mission of Planet Earth. And so it's like, if we had questions, what would those questions be?
I think one of them said, "How do you brush your teeth in space?"
Oh, that might have been. And what's cool is there's different channels where you can watch astronauts demonstrate all of that stuff. Those questions, and how do you brush your teeth? How do you wash your hair? Like, how do you go to the bathroom? All of that kind of stuff. And I mean, they're good questions. Like, how would you do all that? You got no gravity. How do you? Water's floating away. How do So
good teaching moments.
Yeah, they are. So we were always, and I think another big thing of teaching that kind of subject area, whether it's STEM or science, is like it being okay to not know the answer. Like they're like, "You're so smart." I'm like, but there's a lot of stuff I don't know, and just being real about that. Like, you don't know that? No, I don't. But let's find out. Like that, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I remember different parents telling me that specifically. They were like, "My kid was so surprised that you didn't know the answer to something, but you said, let's find out." Like, I'm not going to lie to him and be like, and make something up, because then that just defeats the whole purpose. I'm like, we don't know, let's find out. So.
Thank goodness for computers too.
Right? I'm like, let's go. And that was another big thing. It's like, when we would do our research, I was like, you are not allowed to use Wikipedia. Like, that is a no-no in here. We talked about why. And so that was something that I think stuck with them all through school, because like even still they're like, we don't use Wikipedia. Like if I see any of the students or like on social media, like I may comment on something that they've done or research and I didn't use Wikipedia.
Librarians use that, say that too, or used to say that a lot.
Yeah.
It's not a reliable
source. It is not a reliable source. We do not use Wikipedia. Like you can trust like a .gov, .edu, like trust some of those, but we do not use Wikipedia. So, but that stuck with them.
That does. I think a lot of what you do with them has stuck with them. Let me check my list. We covered a lot. OOHRP, that was part of.
So OEIP is the Oklahoma Education and Industry Partnership, and I participated in that when I was teaching. And at the time, I don't remember who like the organizing body was for it, but I participated in it, and I can't remember if it was a 2 or 3 day event. But I went to Oklahoma City and we stayed at Rose State College. We did a couple of different tours. We did the Noble Research Center, Ag in the Classroom. There was another campus tour, and there was a lot of hands-on activities that they taught us. You could write grants through PITSCO for different kits or supplies for your classroom. And so, again, I can't remember who originated that. That was, I think, the summer of 2015. And now Career Tech is over OEIP. And so we have different events throughout the year that target different program areas. And so we, like in the STEM division, my manager and I are working on our aerospace OEIP, which is going to be May 31st at American Airlines in Tulsa in their maintenance facility. So since that's one of our program areas, we're offering the OEIP event for teachers or administration that's interested in bringing the Choose Aerospace curriculum into their classroom. They can see the real world application of what that curriculum is going to put the students doing. So we have that event coming up in May, but we have a division at the agency that's over all of the OEIP events. And so we just did, I think, a fire and safety one. They have one coming up next week, I think, on electric vehicles.
Oh.
So, I mean, like, there's a variety of things that they offer because we have so many different divisional types. They make sure that they have these events for our teachers and industry partners that cover all of the different divisions. So it's
cool. I mean, it seems like having hands-on helps get people interested in any of the STEM.
It is, and so there's always some sort of hands-on lesson or activity, some that the teachers can get right there and take back and implement in their classroom, which is pretty cool. That it's an immediate, you get and take,
And curiosity, they've got to be in there somewhere.
Yes, Yeah.
in order for all that to work out, I think, but what do I know? I did okay in math, science, and technology, no.
Yeah, there's some technology stuff. I'm like, I'm not really a tech person. Like, I'm not a computer science person.
I appreciate them though. Yeah.
I do too. Like, I'll find somebody that can do that because that's not for me. Like, you want me to work a telescope? I can do that, but that machine, I don't know.
All right, we have covered, I think, pretty much everything that I have on here. Is there something that I don't know to ask that you want to make sure we get?
Let me think.
Challenges we've covered. Influential person in your career. Was there any one person that you can point to that has?
Oh goodness, influential.
Your aunt that got you in the kindergarten class the first time, huh?
Well, I mean, maybe my mom and my family, just all their education. Again, I'm just like, I don't want to
And
do
strong
education,
women in your family.
yes, and my mom, she graduated last December with her PhD from OSU, and so she's Dr. Raines now. And so her name's Andre, and my dad calls her Dr. Dre. So that's kind of what we call her, is Dr. Dre. But she is incredibly strong and smart and powerful. Like, she's just so also kind and tender and thoughtful and compassionate. It's amazing to see. Like, that's my mom. Like, look what she's doing. Like, I want to grow up and be like her.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, she's done some incredible things. She's a published author, written children's books, and when I was a kid growing up, she was a teacher, and she went through, I think, FOSS science kit training, and so it's all hands-on science kits and modules that you would use in your classroom. So from an early age, I saw my mom going to these trainings of how to do hands-on science that wasn't just from a textbook, and like how to collect data and read charts and graphs. And so kind of watching that and seeing her go to these conferences and learn and bring it back to her classroom, I was just always fascinated with all this stuff in the kits. Like, I was kind of young when she started going to those, and then each year seeing what she did and how she taught science. And I think that kind of instilled my curiosity and my enjoyment of what science is supposed to be versus going through school and you just do it by the textbook. And like chemistry, oh my gosh, I'm terrible at chemistry. I'm not a chemistry person at all. I was like, struggled. But other sciences I did really well with. It's just chemistry, I don't know. And so I think she instilled that early curiosity, and here's how to think critically that is outside of just, textbook and a straightforward read this and regurgitate.
She practiced with you?
Yeah, we did a lot of like
try this first.
hands-on and try, and what do you think about that? Well, why do you think it does this? And so a lot of those questions that you would ask to provoke, some thought and critical thinking. She has always been so good at, let's analyze and think about this. And so I think that's kind of, and so high school, I really loved my biology class. I think chemistry was a hot mess. And then college, I loved my science classes in college. And then I was like, okay, well, science really seems to be something I can do and be successful with, and got into the mission to planet Earth, and just kind of all meld together and kind of saw what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm going to go teach, and I'm going to teach Earth and space science, and I'm going to create thinkers and critical thinkers and lovers of science, and kids that want to explore and ask questions and be creative. And so for me, even though it's STEM, like there's still a really heavy arts component and creativity that has to go within STEM. But again, that's just my opinion, because I also was with, sixth graders, and I had some really creative, artistic kids, and it had to be part of what we did so that everybody felt like they had a place to contribute.
I think they've switched it to STEM. STEAM now, have they?
Yeah, a lot of places it's
STEAM
STEAM
now.
now.
That A in there.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the agency will ever do that, but for me, I'm like,
Well, if your mom came from that direction, what was your dad's?
So my dad worked here at OSU. Growing up, he was at the physical plant working on building automations and systems. And then in 2005, he got a job in athletics as associate athletic director of facilities. And so he worked on facilities and the crews that controlled everything, like heat and air, all the mechanical panels and all of that. And he's also a country singer. He has a CD and grew up going to different things that he would sing at, baseball games, like professional baseball games, rodeos. I remember going when he recorded his CD, like going with him to the recording studio. That was so cool.
So between the two of them, you've got a pretty rounded childhood, and cool. That's cool. And did your sister get into science or any of the STEM fields?
She was more of the creative side. So she actually works at Simmons Bank here in Stillwater as, I know her title changed, and I don't remember what exactly, because she's started like customer relations and has moved up to like an associate manager of the main branch of Simmons downtown. And her husband works in IT here at OSU. My husband works here on campus next door in life sciences.
So OSU family all the way.
All the way, yeah. So when I said I'm a Stillwater girl, born and bred, like we are Stillwater, OSU, loyal and true, like we are.
And you came, I don't know, you weren't quite old enough to be a non-traditional student, but you did come right out of high school.
Yeah.
Did you find that challenging being a few years?
Honestly, no. Like, because I had grown and matured, I'd already been working. Like, I came in with my mindset, like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to do it. And that way I can, start my.
Did the students around you accept you being a couple of years older?
Honestly, they didn't know.
Okay, that helps, doesn't it?
I mean, because I'm 36, and so at the time, like when I went, I mean, I don't feel like I looked like a whole lot older than a lot of them.
Okay.
So it really wasn't a thing, and so when they found out that I was like 5 or 6 years older than them, they're like, "What?" So I mean, it really wasn't a big deal.
Wasn't a big deal. Okay.
Yeah. So no, I wasn't treated any different by my classmates, which is good.
Do you have a favorite spot on campus that you've been here forever?
I still love Library Lawn. There's just something so peaceful about it. It's really nice. And Theta, growing up, we would go to Theta Pond, and my grandma, when she was a non-traditional student, she went to school here when I was a little kid. And so grandma would, come over here and we'd meet her on campus and we'd go have picnics at Theta Pond, or we'd go to IGA and buy cookies at the bakery and have cookies over by Theta. So that's just kind of a nice area. The campus has changed so much over the years of coming here.
It has.
I remember doing like Lights on Stillwater as a little kid and being on the library one, going through that like with my mom or dad. And homecoming, like just can't get anything better than our homecoming.
And then for a while there was Orange Peel.
Yeah, Orange Peel. We went to that a few times.
Long, but
yeah, they didn't do it for terribly long, but I went to some of those events and season ticket holders for athletic events, and so.
And you've been in the library.
Yes, I spent a lot of time in the library. I really did.
Did you have a favorite spot here in the library, where you do most of your?
We did a lot of stuff on the first floor just because we would have group projects. But I don't know, there were times when I'd like to just find a little cozy place to sit and read or work on.
Well, it's changed a lot since
you
graduated too.
Yeah.
If you go venture out, it's different.
Yeah, like the seating area that's right out there. There were many group projects where we sat out there and worked together. Lots of those.
And of course the fountain, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pretty place too.
Yes, that was really pretty.
All right, if you don't have anything else, my last question is, how do you want people to remember Kristye? If history is written about you, what do you want it to say?
Oh gosh, I don't know. That's not really something I've ever thought about. But my legacy might be, I mean, probably something to do with aerospace, and my dad calls me Rocket Girl. So maybe something along the aerospace lines, and knowing that that all started here with the NASA project that I was part of is really what set that pathway of NASA aerospace passion that I'm still pursuing.
I would say an enthusiastic educator.
Yes.
I would throw that in there.
Yes, I'm very enthusiastic and passionate about education, but really helping our kids be creative and critical thinkers. That's my main thing.
Well, thank you for sharing today. It's been great.
Thank you.